There we go. Now we should be live. So y'all can see like clear as day the type of games that are played, the type of games that are played. Anybody who is here, you saw exactly where that dropped off. That stopped. And it's very interesting how shit like this be happening, right? Very interesting how shit like this be happening. And that is great. We are going to go ahead and get started again. And I'll have to have the extra added bonus of having to edit this together, as well as posting the long form version for everybody to hear. So let's get started again, which is I apologize to the memory of Malcolm X, to his family, to anybody who loves and respects him, because what I'm about to do is extremely disrespectful to his memory, but extremely important to highlighting how ignorant it is to have Tariq Nasheed leading us anywhere. It is disrespectful to a very high degree to have this individual in our community. And he should not be in our community. He should not be leading anything. But in order to bring home the desperate or the actual difference between Tariq Nasheed and a Malcolm X, I think it is a very good idea to sort of mix the two together to see the problems. So just once again, for those who didn't necessarily see this, so let's go ahead and go here. But let me stop, let me do this for the sake of no confusion. Let me go ahead and take this and delete this before we get started. I'm sorry that this is just a long form hell. That okay. That's my voice attack responding to whenever I say hello. But now it doesn't want to say anything, which is weird. Hello. Alrighty. Let me go ahead and delete this. This is probably going to be the realest shit I've ever put together. Because I'm about to curse this motherfucker slap the fuck out. Let me go ahead and... No. I don't need to verify anything. Suck a dick. Suck a motherfucking cock. Delete. No, not this one. Just those. But anyways, I'll come back to that. What I'm about to do is the most disrespectful thing I could possibly do to the memory of Malcolm X. And I apologize for doing so. But it is needed in order to drive home the point of Tariq Nasheed. So For those who are listening, I'm going to play this again, and then we're going to go ahead and go forth with the example. Hmm. Again, since we know the conclusion of this story, we know that this man was taking his own life in his mouth as he was saying this. Um, and so I'm going to show you, this was 60 some odd years ago. I'm going to show you our leaders today. So this is a very good example of our leaders today. That was on looped. Funny how YouTube works. Let's loop it again. You know what? We're going to restart that for impact. We're going to restart that for impact. See, there's things that you can deduce from history. Now that we sit 60 some odd years in the future from this individual, I'm sure there will be another individual sitting 600 years into the future watching this same clip. But we currently sit only 60 years into the future from this. And we know that every single thing that he was saying, he failed at. No disrespect, but he failed. He was trying to bring about some level of black consciousness that led to some sort of social change for the conditions of black people in America. He was trying to find some way of having us separate from a system of white supremacy and institutional racism such that we can define our own quality of life separate from them. And ultimately, he failed at it. But he still risked his life to try to achieve that, right? Even though towards the end he had a different viewpoint religiously, a religious epiphany, I think he still did not lose his core values and his core love primarily for the descendants of American slaves. But back then, since there wasn't an immigration bill flooding our shores with people from, I was laughing, I was, somewhat taking it lightly because I was hoping that people's common sense would chime in. But Tariq Nasheed should not be a part of our community. He should not be leading anything. He should not be somebody who we support, who we talk about, who we take our cues from in any way, shape, fashion, or form. This person is a toxic tool of white supremacy. We already went through on the long form version of this. You'll see the edited version when I post the actual video of the 2 parts, since there was a technical difficulty. But this individual, um, hmm, nobody's actually bringing up anything about this individual. So if you search on Professor Black Truths or the Black Authority, nobody's calling this out. That this person is toxic to the black community. The reason why they're not bringing it up is because they themselves, in my opinion, are also toxic to the black community, and they really shouldn't be in this space at all either. Tariq Nasheed has a public name and a public figure, and is a public figure, and yet and still this type of shit is what he broadcasts out regularly. How many skeletons are in Black Authority's closet? How many skeletons are in Professor Black Truth's closet? All right? We don't know those individuals at all. All these people are not actually providing you with anything. That's the reason why I keep on going back to reparations. It's the reason why I keep on going back to reparations as the actual ultimate goal that everybody should be fighting for. And even though Yvette and Tone are over there fighting for reparations, those bastards are really just fighting, or primarily, in my opinion, fighting for their name recognition, for them to be the first ones in the room to talk about reparations, as opposed to not caring whether they're in the room or not. So long as their ideas are in the room, who cares whether or not they are in the room, right? That level of narcissism that they carry with them is ultimately going to be the downfall of that organization. And I just hope that they don't carry reparations with them as a policy, as a viable policy for the next 100 years when they do. But all these people really aren't serving the black community. They aren't really serving the descendants of American slave community. They are just simply trying to do whatever they can in order to get whatever clout they need from those individuals, whatever money they need from those individuals, whatever they need from those individuals is what they're focused on. If this isn't like some sort of amalgam of audio clips, and this is actually something that you readily put out for consumption to everybody else, then I am definitely gonna give this to you with all of my heart. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Fuck whatever goddamn money you got. Fuck whatever fucking possessions you got. Fuck all that stupid shit, bitch. Fuck you. There's only two ways in America for you to actually get money. And that is kissing white people in the ass, or basically being a bitch for them, a tool for them in some way, shape, fashion, or form. How the fuck did you get this money is my question. That's my question, Tariq. You're bragging about a $2 million mansion. How did that money come about? Because if the narrative is simply that you also, that you used a book about macking and got initial money off of that, and then fundraised for a documentary and took the public donations and turned it into a private profit, right? Then you need to get the fuck up out of our community with all that bullshit of asking for money. $200,000 ain't shit. You live in a $2 million mansion, blah, 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 blah. You know what that all sounds like? That sounds like a high enough net worth to where you don't have to ask us for a dime for your bullshit ass hidden history museum. That's what it means. Y'all are pissing me the fuck off, man. Y'all are pissing me the fuck off, man. Y'all get away with this shit because YouTube gives y'all a microphone. Let me be very fucking specific. White racists at YouTube amplify you toxic motherfuckers on this platform and make it seem like you gaggle of sons of ruckus actually are thought leaders in the space of black empowerment, and you're not. You're not. Y'all are sitting up here just trying to get as much money as you possibly can from us niggas. You've probably had Roland Martin over to your fucking place to have dinner. Or you would if you needed to. If he had a connection tomorrow, Roland Martin could roll up to that $2 million Corinthian leather marble floored house of yours, meet your children with you laughing, smiling, and giggling in his face. So long as no pictures were taken, you'd be good. There are no enemies amongst you motherfuckers. We already saw how Yvette Carnell was linked to you, and even though her supporters said, don't fuck with Tariq, which I was in that, I remember that conversation, February of 2018, I believe, or 2019, one of the two, is when that conversation actually happened. I was in the live chat typing away at the caller who called in to say that and saying, yeah, she's right. I'm like, well, where's Waldo in this goddamn black empowerment space? I've been all over this shit. And she still decided to choose to link with a motherfucker like you as opposed to saying the people and supporters is all she needs. And if the people and supporters are telling her and Tone that they don't need to link with you, then they don't need to link with you. You are a destructive element within this community. You are going to end up getting people killed if you haven't already. In my opinion, you're going to end up getting someone killed or getting many people killed. And just like Van Jones and just like these other tools of white supremacy, they're just going to keep on propping you up. They're going to keep on giving you interviews. They're going to keep on, giving you little projects. They're going to keep on turning blind eyes to your money-seeking activities, right? But all jokes and all games and all airs of me trying to be fair in this situation aside, you need to get the fuck out of this community and stay the fuck out of this community, you dirty, stinking piece of shit. I won't even dignify any of this shit with any sort of counterpoints. I'm not bringing up the Senate.gov state of Black America in 2020 or something like that. I'm not bringing up any data points with your stinking ass anymore. You are, in my book, you are the lowest of the low form, and it makes it makes complete sense that you are now wrapping your reputation around the baby and hoping that that's enough to save his career. Because you are just the same low form of intelligence and life as those other rappers who basically debase our culture into sex and drugs and violence. You are pimping our culture for your own personal gain and your own personal profit. Go fuck yourself, Tariq Nasheed. Go fuck yourself. It is now official. Now, see, here's the deal. I'm not omniscient. I don't know everything about everything. I don't. But it is now official. I was trying to be fair and balanced and, sort of somewhat believing that there's two sides to this. But everybody who donated to this Hidden History Museum, in my opinion, you are a dumb piece of shit. Yeah, the piece of shit goes with it. In my opinion, you are a dumb piece of shit. You should have not given this motherfucker not one red cent, not one red penny, not anything at all. You should have never given him a dime or a dollar. This is how he really thinks of you. This is how he really thinks of you. If you happen to be on Section 8 and you decided to donate to this, If your family has ever been on Section 8 and you decided to donate to this, if you've ever had thoughts or fears about you being on Section 8 or being so broke that you may have to get on it, he's talking about you. If you do, let's invert it. If you don't have a $2.5 million home with two-tone Corinthian leather or more marble than what he has, he is talking about you. You are the dusty, crusty nigga he is talking about. He's not directing that out at unspecific people. Anybody who is under this little ceiling that he's erected, he's talking about you. And I'm willing to wager that a large amount of these $50 donors who are descendants of American slaves, who are directly subjugated to wealth deprivation by white supremacy and institutional racism, he's talking about y'all directly. And y'all gave this motherfucker $400,000. All jokes aside, that is stupid. That is fucking stupid. I want you to focus on that $412,000 as we replay this shit. I'm trying to maintain my composure with this. I'm trying, just so you know. Just so everybody knows. Because otherwise I would destroy this microphone. And y'all gave this motherfucker $412,000. And y'all gave this motherfucker $412,000. It's no longer funny. It's no longer a hee hee ha ha moment. It's no longer funny. This person looks down on the majority of those people who donated, because the majority of those people are descendants of American slaves who are wealth deprived. He actually feels that way about you. And y'all gave this motherfucker $412,000. Tariq Nasheed, go fuck yourself. You are a dirty piece of shit in my book. You are a narcissist who is basically using people in order to prop up yourself as well as your ego. I really want to go the fuck off, but I'm gonna measure myself as much as I humanly possibly can. This type of fundraising or money grabbing or whatever you're doing is inappropriate within our community, and it's something that you really shouldn't be doing. I'm trying my best. I want to just fucking curse this shit. Oh my goodness, man. I really want to go full on. I really want to, but there's no way in hell. without how do I say this? You are you have made yourself a very good marker in the line of real grassroots black empowerment. For real grassroots black empowerment to actually be validated, it must chew Tariq Nasheed up and spit it out of its mouth and never regurgitate it again. What does that look like? It needs to be that no one in their right mind listens to Tariq Nasheed ever again, buys anything from him ever again, nor allows him to speak on black issues ever again. Anybody who's trying to basically listen. I know everybody's broke because of white supremacy and institutional racism, and sometimes you want to fantasize and go through some sort of escapism by looking at the rich nigga with all the money, and you think to yourself, well, he must have some sort of morality that goes along with it. No, he just pimped out and whored out his morality to white supremacy, was a willing tool of white supremacy in the controlled opposition genre of white supremacy, and got paid handsomely for doing so. And if he had to do anything else, if Tariq Nasheed had to go literally go do gay porn right now, in order for him to keep his or in order for him to keep his income flowing, in order for him to keep his connections together, and in order for him to have the clout that he has, then he would. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He's already very, very clearly made that known, that you motherfuckers better not try to vote on anything on that museum. You better not try to have a plebiscite. Look up the word. It means you having a direct control within the museum, even though you paid for it. You better not have any of that. He plans on taking your $7 million. We've already went through the actual the actual wealth amount that would be. That would be the equivalent of him asking white people for $46 million. Because of the comparative wealth that black people have and white people have, the actual amount is $46 million that he's asking for. In total, with the $7 million, it's actually $46 million because we have less wealth. It's probably even more than that if we were to include college degreed people within that list of individuals. I'm trying. Trying not to blow up this microphone right now. So it really comes down to this, man. If you are watching Tariq Nasheed regularly, if you're playing around with these individuals, there's something severely fucking wrong with you. This individual is only using you for content. It is very clear. This individual is using your life experience, your tragedy, your pain, your fear, your anxiety, and he's turning that into content that gets him money. He is the type of narcissist to actually believe that the amount of content he's put out on YouTube should actually be worthy of the $7 million he's asking for. You're not actually doing anything but paying him his just recompensation or his just compensation for the amount of content he's put out. That is probably how he has processed this ask. This is detrimental to the process of reparations, and anybody who thinks of this individual as a thought leader in any way, shape, fashion, or form, how can he be? He does not respect you in any way, shape, fashion, or form. How can he be a thought leader when he doesn't respect you? the childhood poverty rate runs anywhere from 35 to 40% within the black community. So he's not just talking about that black child, but he's obviously talking about the parents that have raised that individual in that situation. That's 30% of us. That's 30% of our community, if not a little bit more, because you're talking about children who may have, maybe one child to two parents. I don't know if we're at the birth rate of a replacement. I'm trying my best to distract myself from cursing this motherfucker, slap the fuck out. I'm trying. Because I said I wasn't gonna go down this list of things, but it's a shame that this individual is in our community. It really is. It's a fucking shame. It's an embarrassment to anybody who actually considers themselves a black intellectual. Because here's the deal. When that white person thinks of you as a black intellectual, you know who they really think about first? They're thinking about the celebrity names in the spaces that you claim to be in. So if you're spouting things like reparations, or if you're spouting things like police reform, in their mind, they're thinking of Tariq Nasheed. And if you don't think white people are seeing this and getting their cues and dog whistles from this, they are. If I was a white racist, if I was a member of the Proud Boys, or even better, if I was running PR for a disgusting rapper like DaBaby, and I heard this type of shit come out of Tariq Nasheed's mouth, I would think to myself, oh, okay, well, I could definitely roll up on him and have him spout some shit to these dumbass niggers, and hopefully get some Q rating increases for my client. I can definitely go tell him not to talk about this situation or not talk about this topic, or I can tell him some stupid shit like black maroons and we already were here and black aboriginals and shit like that, and infest their narrative with bullshit that's going to help us out with getting our reparations tallied down if we ever have to get there. Yeah, he's the guy. Look, he hates those niggers too. Let's go back. Yeah, he hates those niggers too. Yeah, he hates niggers too. ERS. Niggers. He hates niggers too. Oh, he doesn't think that he's among those niggers, even though in our eyes he's a nigger. Oh, he has a $2 million house, which means that in California, those $2 million homes don't actually reside in black communities. So most likely he lives in a $2 million home in a gentrified neighborhood, which means he stays next to majority white people or white Latinos. So he's already a part of our community. He's not even a part of his own community. He's a part of our community. And listening to this, regardless of what he says on a daily basis, it seems as though he doesn't identify with those niggers. Oh, we could definitely use Tariq. We maybe can't use this person over here, but Tariq, yeah, he has the ears of those niggers. We could whisper some shit in Tariq's ear, and he'll definitely whisper it back into those niggers' ears and lead them astray. Oh, he'll be a great tool for white supremacy. Do you hear Professor Black Truth saying this type of shit? When he does those little video essays that you think is all gravy and all great, is he going over this type of shit? Does he have the balls to even call it out? We already know what type of bitch the Black Authority is. We already know that. So I won't even ask the question with him. I won't even dignify his slightly um, slightly equivalent to dog shit slurry status that he is by even asking the question. So consider it a compliment, Professor Black Truth, that I even asked that of you. But do they have the balls to call out Tariq Nasheed? Or are they just gonna wait until some obvious shit happens and then all of a sudden they want to throw out some video essays? Y'all were able to check ADOS. Y'all were able to check Tone and all the other people legitimately. I wonder why. I don't have to wonder. I know, because y'all are tools of white supremacy too, because y'all ain't talking shit about reparations either. Yeah, y'all rattling the jar full of fireflies and watching them light up, but you're not actually providing any sustenance to those flies, are you? You're not actually doing anything for the quality. They're just toys to you. You get to jingle them up, see how many views you get for a video, and then move on. This nigga is right here, off code than a motherfucker, raising money amongst descendants of American slaves. Imagine Kamala Harris doing that. Imagine Kamala Harris coming amongst descendants of American slaves and saying that she, let's say she was a community leader and she wasn't a politician, right? And she came amongst descendants of American slaves trying to fundraise for whatever thing that she wants to do. Let's say lift all boats, turn into a community organizing type thing where she wants to do it on the community level and not on the government level. And she wanted to raise money in the black community. Y'all would pick her apart. This motherfucker is right here saying all this janky shit, downing black people. Oh, wait, that's right. Y'all down black people too. Y'all talk about crack babies this and crack babies that. Y'all down black people left and right too. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is how y'all really feel is what's going on. And Tariq is just the voice of how y'all really feel. That's what's going on. And so y'all never gonna say shit about him because that's how y'all really feel about black people when y'all get on y'all Zoom calls together. Is that how that works? Is that why y'all all clicked up? Is that why technically Tariq Nasheed is only a couple of degrees removed from Boyce Watkins? Oh, okay. So he was gonna have Vicky Dillard on, I think, on Buck Breaking, I think. I think she was gonna be on, and she ended up being on. But you already can see from the other video that I showed how she was basically carrying water for Tariq Nasheed, calling everybody else who's criticizing this bullshit museum unneeded. And trying to say that it was, this must be some sort of fundraising thing. I mean, they must be bootlicks if they're against it. It's almost like, no, you're a bootlick. You're projecting your own insults. You're projecting your own truth as an insult to other people so that they don't call you out on your truth. No, Vicky, you're a bootlick. You work for Fly Nubian, whatever that little channel is, and you have Boyce Watkins, who has an association or had an association with Charles Wu, and you have that individual on your platform left and right. How? Fly Newman, Vicky Dillard has a nice little connection with Tariq Nasheed, right? Remember, I either think she either was or was. I don't know because I didn't buy that buck breaking bullshit. I didn't waste my money on that shit. But she either was on it or was supposed to be on it, and she's now carrying water. Y'all all clicked up together. Isn't that convenient? Y'all clicked up together on YouTube, and YouTube it does nice little things with y'all's numbers. Nice little variable, nice little function, nice little random number generator. Whenever that random number pops up, +2 to the views type shit. Y'all disgust me. Y'all have these platforms. You talk about black media. great. You can have black media. Um, I need the descendants of American slave media to actually stand up, because there's only one purpose in bringing out the title Descendants of American Slaves. There's only one function that title has: reparations. That's the only function that title has. That's the only function that definition of that lineage has. Reparations only. Y'all are talking about all this little topical shit, ain't really doing shit. Y'all talking about all this shit that happened yesterday or in the news, contemporary. Who gives a fuck? Ain't nobody really talking about reparations unless y'all want to coerce us into not voting or coerce our vote in some way, shape, fashion, form with the hashtag, oh, no tangibles, no vote. And I guarantee damn well to you, they have an I voted sticker from 2020. All of them motherfuckers. I guarantee damn well to you. So my thing is this, like, if you donated to this after seeing this, like, this person posted this, I saw the video and I was like, nah, man, this couldn't be real. This can't be real. So I was like, listen, I was like, well, I got, not to try to, this is not a stunt in any way, shape, fashion, or form, but I have headphones that I use for music production, right? So I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait till I get back. Let me go ahead and listen to those on those, because I can hear everything on those. So I was like, let me just try to see whether or not this is spliced together, and let me hear for the little pops and clicks that I can hear if somebody was like chopping up a wave and trying to put it together and stuff like that, because I could listen for those things, I could hear them, right? I'm like, I don't hear anything. This sounds real. This sounds like a genuine thing. I know it doesn't have the video with it, but it sounds real as fuck. And I was like, I had to process this, because I'm like, I don't want to get on here and just, because there's a G word that I think everybody can really roll off their tongue and see that I want to say that directly, right? I want to say that directly, but I'm not going to. I'm trying my best to say, to try to be as diplomatic as I possibly can, because I really want to just roll off my tongue with a whole bunch of curse words. But I had to defend, and that's the other thing. So let me pause. When you're upset, always keep your emotions in check as much as you possibly can, right? Your emotions are really gonna lead you astray. It's not gonna lead you down roads that you need to actually go down, right? Try your best. It is not a good thing to let your emotions go rampant, right? It's better to take all that powerful energy of your emotions and focus them as much as you possibly can. And sometimes focusing it means shutting off the water supply so that you can better control it when you do turn it back on, type thing, right? And that's what I'm having to do during this conversation. But let's talk about this, right? So we had that person from the comment section yesterday that I was talking about, with him coming out of his mouth real fuck-like, eventually, the Reggie dude, about descendants of American slaves, saying that we were all on Section 8. Sound familiar? That we were all, we don't have functioning relationships and functioning marriages. I'm sure Tariq can go into that level of insult towards black people as well, or descendants of American slaves as well. That we don't, that we're all baby daddies and baby mamas, and we're all stupid and would easily contribute to such a scam, or whatever he used as the term. Right? Well, I would think that Tariq Nasheed would actually agree with most of those statements about black people. Why is somebody in black empowerment saying shit that would be in alignment to somebody who actually doesn't give a fuck about us? Well, maybe he doesn't either. Maybe he doesn't give a fuck about us either. So I'm trying not to curse. Let me go to the chat real quick. Let me try to break the monotony of this. Still think angel donors are coming to. Yeah, I think the Miracle Action Network is definitely going to be in full effect. I think that he's been very clear, or excuse me, he's been very strategic in his statements. He said that if we don't raise, he's consistently said, if we don't raise all of the money, then it's going back, right? If we don't raise all the money, then it's going back. So I honestly believe that it's going to cross the Rubicon of, like, I think he's probably looking at $580,000 or more. And at that point, he's the Miracle Action Network of the $100,000 donors and $50,000 quiet donors, mind you, are going to come out of the blue and they're going to save the project. Or he's going to extend the time limit of people being able to expose him. Oh, I'm sorry. He's going to extend the timeline of the Indiegogo campaign for another 30 days, right? So we did go into detail about that individual. Again, I don't agree with that person's feelings, but everything is a circle, right? He's just one inch removed from me on the other side of the circle, but his sincerity will eventually expose Tariq's lack of sincerity, right? Because he's already said to the fact that, yeah, Tariq should have been here promoting it on the radio and doing that other stuff. But I think that person is accurate in the fact that they contacted Indiegogo and they said that he could extend the whatchamacallit. But I think that what Tariq is afraid of is if he extends it, first of all, he has more time of more eyes on him. And secondly, if he extends it and he still doesn't meet the goal, then that's even further embarrassment, right? You have to realize that he has peers to impress. And so those peers won't necessarily be impressed if he cannot, if he's appearing to be struggling. So I think that the Miracle Action Network is going to be activated at some point in time. And, I think that the money is definitely going to be captured from individuals who need to pay rent, light bill, water bill, cable bill, and food, from people who have an average net worth, if they don't have a college degree, of around about $11,000 to $12,000, less if you're a descendant of American slaves, less if you take out depreciating assets, which that Senate.gov document didn't do. So sorry, that was a long form answer to that, but yes, the Miracle Action Network, ISIS, is definitely flapping their wings and falling from heaven to help their one of their own, Tariq Nasheed, get his $1 million. He has addressed the shortage of Has he addressed the shortage of building materials? I don't know if he has. I really don't. And if there is a shortage of building materials, that's going to ramp up the cost of any sort of commercial construction, especially in a booming real estate market like LA County. So, but of course, he's counting on the stupidity of black people in order for them to continuously give him money. Again, he's not asking for just $1 million. He's bold enough to ask for $7 million. If he actually thought he could get $7 million, he should have just asked for $7 million directly and put that as his fixed goal for 60 days. But he's not stupid. He realizes that we are an impoverished people, so he wants to basically give his pimp or give his hoes a certain level of installment plan to pay him as the pimp in this situation. The video has the video he was stunting on folks with his house was very real. Okay. Right. Where is the same energy for Tariq? Exactly. These little bastards, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, even when it comes down to Kwame Brown, they ain't saying shit. You see what I'm saying? It's so funny. All this projection. Just listen to these off-code motherfuckers, and whatever they say, whatever they accuse other people of, just reverse it back onto them. So, for instance, Kwame Brown talks about a go-along, get-along gang. I don't know of any other go-along, get-along gang that's more powerful in the black community than the Prince Hall Masons. And he was asked directly of whether or not he was a Prince Hall Mason. Well, somebody didn't say Prince Hall Mason. I'm sure they just said Mason. But since he's black, and again, he cannot actually apply as a black person to Scottish Rite Freemasonry. He has to go through the Prince Hall Freemasons in order to become a Mason. So it's implicit in his black skin that he has to be a Prince Hall Mason. Kwame hasn't answered that question. All right? But he's talking about this go along, get along gang, go along, get along gang, go along, get along gang. Okay. Well, it sure seems like a go along, get along gang of people who refuse to hold you to account for any of the fuck shit you're doing. Oh, wait. They agree with the fuck shit you're doing. They're actually probably taking notes with the fuck shit you're doing. They're probably trying to, almost like a double Dutch professional or a first time double Dutcher, trying to time their entry into the fray of your terminology and of your platform. They're trying to time how they can get into that. How could they have you on their platform and not lose viewers or lose legitimacy? Right? But nobody's calling anybody out. These bastards over there, Professor Black Truth, all they want to do is just throw black people dumb shit, dumb red meat without context. When really the enemies are within our gates. The enemies are Tariq Nasheed taking the equivalent or trying to partake the equivalent of $46 million if you were to compare it to the equivalent ask of white America, non-college degreed white America. The equivalent of $46.6 million from those individuals for a vanity project. Not just 7. Those are the enemies. The enemies is Kwame Brown trying to make it seem like, oh, you don't need reparations. All you need is some goddamn felines. All you need to do is go down to the store I know, buy these $60 felines, and you'll be fine. You don't need reparations. Just take some of my black conservative bullshit until you end up old enough to die or be irrelevant. And when you do that, we'll capture your kids. We'll capture your kids with another person that pops up out of the blue and leads them astray too. But nobody's saying anything about these people. Like, all the games and all the laughing, all the joking and all the bullshit aside, like, I have no more. I mean, I think y'all could probably tell that my demeanor is different with this. There is no more. There's no more like laughing, giggling, you know what I'm saying, intellectual points to be made. No, you need to get the fuck up out of our community. You need to stop saying anything about slavery. You need to stop, period. You need to get the fuck up out of our community, period. You in that white community, go ahead and apply to some of them white jobs. Go ahead and switch over your businesses to be white targeted. Go ahead and switch up your message so you could be in line with Jesse Lee Peterson or the Hodge twins. Or we could go wide with this if we need to, right? You could switch it up like the Hodge twins and go ahead and get you a white audience. Tommy Sotomayor is doing very well with that type of bullshit, right? Just go ahead and be who you're gonna be, right? You don't give a fuck about black people. You give a fuck about your personal well-being and your personal wealth. You give a fuck about black people and our reparations. You have that word in your mouth, and you shouldn't have it in your goddamn mouth. There are men in the past who have lived and died by the words that they speak on behalf of black people. Literally. Whether they disagreed or not, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X put their lives on the line, literally speaking and doing to try to uplift black people in 2 different ways. I think that they were probably eventually going to merge their plans or merge their efforts at some point, but they put their goddamn lives on the line. And Tariq Nasheed think it to be cool to just fundraise some money. Bitch, why don't you mortgage your house? Why don't you take out a second line of a HELOC on your home? Take out some of your equity in your home. Sell some of your stocks. Cash in some of your bonds. trade in some of your vehicles. I'm sure you'll have $1 million. Reduce if it's so important to you and you feel as though it's so important to the community and you are a servant of the community, give up some of your lifestyle in order for you to actually have what you want. But we all know you ain't gonna do that. We all know you ain't gonna do that. But you asking people's grandmama to figure out how she gonna log into so you can televangelist style cash her mailed in check. Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. I don't give a damn how many millions you got basically being a boy of some white person. We don't know if you have a Charles Wu up underneath your wings. I keep on saying that. I'm gonna say that right now. We don't know who the Charles Wu beneath your wings is, boy. But with you talking so greasy about black people, I have to assume that there's a white supremacist whispering in your ear. I have to assume that you could walk in the room with white supremacists and y'all can share some criticisms of the black community. That y'all can sit down and break bread and have, yeah, them niggas are like that. They be trying me like that too. Sometimes I gotta stun on them niggas and tell them I got way more wealth and way more money than they do. It's no longer funny. It's no longer fun. It's no longer cute. You can go fuck yourself. Stay the fuck out of our community. Right? Let me go through the rest of these and then I'm gonna have to get the hell up off of here because I'm pissed. So anyways, Vicky said flat out she was not against Boyce or Kwame because she's not ruining her paycheck. Oh, well. There you go. Vicky, I need a cheeseburger Dillard. Vicky, I don't know how she sees out of one-eye Dillard. Vicky, I found a gavel at a Goodwill furniture store in the back, and I just added it as part of my skit Dillard. Vicky, I won't give you the link in the description for this video, but what I will do is show you this janky ass video on my janky ass phone and put it all up in the screen. Vicky, my light must be hot as shit Dillard. We won't even much go into her criminal record. That's just fighting low. That's just fighting low. But at the end of the day, it would be very interesting to see if anybody actually had balls to call people out. Everybody's quiet as a church mouse when it comes down to this type of shit. Funny. Have you seen that video of the museum property? What do you mean? You talking about where the guy went inside the gate? I saw that. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I come back to this question. Do we deserve better? Right? Do we deserve better than Tariq Nasheed? Right? I know I'm upset. I know I personally deserve better than this individual representing me and my intelligence. I would want somebody who is representing me and my intelligence to be clearly more educated and more intelligent than I am, right? Or at least on the subject on which they're talking about, right? It's not capacity of intelligence. I'm not talking about IQ. I'm talking about like they are experts in the field in which they're talking about, right? I would love to feel like, not from a standpoint of, oh, okay, I could be lazy now, but oh, okay, if I ever want to enter into this space, this is the goal. This is the person who is the goal that I need to basically achieve this level of on point level of education and being able to respond to issues, right? Who is that person right now? And do we deserve better? do we deserve better than Tariq Nasheed? Or is Tariq Nasheed, considering how bad we've allowed hip hop to devolve into bullshit, is Tariq Nasheed truly what we have right now when we're talking about something as serious as reparations for slavery? Right? I had a personal note. There was a class I was in college, right? And it was like Appalachian history or something like that. It's like a writing class. It had shit to do with anything. I was just dumb as fuck trying to follow behind my ex-wife in all of her classes. I actually got better grades in her English classes than she did. I think Appalachian history was like a 4,000 level English course or some stupidness like that, right? And one of the projects in there was like to interview like your grandparents or your great grandparents and try to ask them some of the cultural things that occurred in their lives. So I remember, yes, I do have a stereotypical person in my life who is Big Mama, right? Who holds the one and only title of Big Mama, and it has not been passed down to anybody else. So I was talking to Big Mama, and she was like telling me about like all of her grandparents and everything. At the time, she was like 97, 98, one of the two. She hadn't hit 100 yet, but she was like in her late 90s, but had still all her wits together. That would curse you out with the man. She's one of those grandmamas that would basically never call you beautiful. Like she would. Her way of calling you beautiful would be like, "Oh, you sure is ugly." Like, or she'd be like, "Oh, you fat as I don't know what, boy. You fat." But that was like that. She wasn't ranking. It was just, it's weird. She wasn't ranking when she was saying that, but she would just say that type of things to you. But she wouldn't pull no punches if she was actually calling you out your name or cursing you out. She would curse somebody out with the quickness. But I could remember her asking like, family tree stuff, and she would be like, yeah, this is my mom's name, my grandmom's name, you know what I'm saying? This is them. And she said something, I need to remember specifically. But she said something to the allude to, oh yeah, well they were on the land. When she was talking about her grandparents. She was like, yeah, my grandparents was on the land. I was like, what do you mean the land? Yeah, they was on the land. She said something like that, and she left it at that. But what she was saying is they were slaves. What she was saying is they were slaves. Right? And so having that oral history, which my ex-wife has the video, her little janky ass won't provide it. So funny. I need to sue the shit out of her ass, to be honest. But anyways, when you have that oral history passed down to you like that, right? When your great grandmother tells you the names of the people in your family who used to be slaves, when you're talking, therefore, about reparations, what I remember, the reason why it's so important to me, is I remember that moment where she went down and told me all of their names, you know what I'm saying, and everything else. And I remember that moment when she was like, yeah, they were on the land. And mind you, in the small town where my grandmother was, she was on some land. And I suspect that's the exact same land and property that her grandparents were on. Yeah. Now, I didn't connect these dots when I was a kid, going to go visit Big Mama I lived in the woods. She lived in the backwoods. Like, you damn sure need some sort of weaponry with you in darkness. Like, and she lived there for years and years and years. All right? But I didn't put two to two together that maybe that was the land her grandparents were slaves on. So when I talk about this shit, that's what I'm talking about. It's personal. I don't think it's personal for Tariq. I don't think it's personal for this anonymous people, the Black Authority, Professor Black Jew. I don't think it's personal to them individuals. This is a YouTube clout chase. They just want to see how many subscribers they can get. They want to see how much notoriety they can get. They want to see how many backroom deals they can cut. It's about them. It's not personal to them. It's not. Can't be. When I say I want to have my grandmother get a reparations check and blow that bitch, I literally do want to see that shit. Speaking of which, I need to go visit my grandmama. I may have to. I need to hop a flight. I've been a horrible grandchild. I need to go. I need to go visit my grandmama. I need to go visit her. But when I say that, I mean it. When I say that, I mean it. When they say it, they're just bringing up a talking point that they plan on undermining with their later talking points. They don't really give a damn. Tariq Nasheed has already gotten his reparations. You don't believe me? See, I said this before. I said that he already got his reparations, but he did. Look. There's so many things. When's the last time you, as a descendant of American slaves, has said the words, "Oh, that little $200,000 ain't shit"? How blessed do you have to be? Let me go back. My great grandmother lived 90. I think she died in as 199 or 101, one of the two. No, I think she got past her 100th birthday. I think she died at 101 or 102. In her 101 or 102 years, she's never said that little $200,000 ain't shit. She's never had the privilege of ever saying that. My great grandfather either. Nobody in my family has ever been able to say that little $200,000 ain't shit. But this motherfucker can. He already got his reparations. You were his reparations. You buying his shit was his reparations. Let me go back to the $200,000 and then we'll go ahead and finish. Oh God, this is getting horrible. At this point, don't anybody ever even come to me and tell me that Tariq Nasheed is black. Don't ever even tell me that he's a descendant of American slaves. I'm going to treat him like the white man he wants to be. I'm going to treat him like the white man he wants to be. Don't you ever come to me anymore and tell me, oh, I had it down. I had it down. Don't you ever come to me and tell me, well, maybe I saved y'all if y'all couldn't hear it. Maybe I saved y'all. That was one less time you had to hear that shit. But don't come to me and ever tell me that Tariq Nasheed is a black person with black problems and black issues. He has elevated himself financially to whiteness. Good for him. As a result of that, get out of our community. As a result of that, get out of our community. You're not doing a goddamn thing to help anybody else behind you. You're not helping anybody elevate themselves in any way, shape, fashion, or form. Fine. You found a way to get $1 million or multiple millions of dollars in the system of white supremacy and institutional racism that we live in. I can easily surmise how you were able to do that, but you did. Great. You are no longer black. You are white. Get the fuck away from our community. Fuck out of here. You gotta always make sure you check your emotions, man. I'm doing this real time. I'm trying my best. Trying my best. This is all real to me. I see how lack of money is fucked up my entire family dynamic, so far as extended families. I can see the poverty drenched on my family like coming in from a downpouring rain. You know what I'm saying? And never being able to dry off. That's what it's like to be a descendant of American slaves in America with no wealth to speak of. And this individual is simultaneously bragging about the wealth that he was able to extract from the black community, while at the same time not really doing anything other than extracting more wealth from those same people he wants to denigrate. You know, and I don't sit up here and think that the people who gave him money deserve it. I honestly feel as though they are ignorant. Ignorant in the very clear definition of the word ignorant. They just don't know. They just don't know. Some of them ain't ignorant, but I'd like to believe that most of them are. But after today, if you are still donating a dime to Tariq Nasheed, if you're still watching his programs, if you're still doing anything with him, there is something clearly fucking wrong with you. I look forward to this Indiegogo campaign being closed, whether there be angels falling from heaven to give him his $1 million at the last minute or not. Because when it's closed, I plan on blocking Tariq Nasheed in all of his forms and never speaking on him again. Because this is completely disgusting. I'm going to do the same sort of roundabout thing with everybody. Kwame Brown, Roland Martin. I'm even going to roll around to Vicky Dillard at some point. I'm going right back to Yvette and Tone. Somebody on my comment section tried to say, well, you are going after Tariq Nasheed, but you've never gone after Tone and Yvette. Sir, unless YouTube is doing some real live censorship, tailored censorship, the first video that you should see now that I have all my music content taken off of this platform, janky co-publisher, is a critique of Yvette and Tone, right? So I may wrap back around to them, and once I hit the points, I don't want to talk about them further. I just want the videos to be out there. I want to do a parody video for each one of those little bastards. I was thinking, I'll tell you a preview of the Roland Martin one that I'm working on. is basically I took an intro of Porky the Pig, and I have the Roland Martin music, the intro music, rolling behind it. So it's gonna basically be a critique on him, his alliance and allegiance to the DNC, and the DNC's true feelings on black people. So it's gonna be a minute long thing, but it's one of those things where it's like, with this parody, unlike the one with Tariq Nasheed, I don't want to miss any. So I'm taking my time and putting in all the jokes and making sure that the video editing is on point. But I want to drop a parody video because comedy works best in order to expose these people. And I want to drop an analysis video about each one of those individuals. And then I want to be done with each and every last one of them. I never want to hear from them again. I never want to talk about them again. I never want to have any sort of conversations about them again. I want to have that finalized video, right, and be done. The only person who's in my crosshairs, who's fading, you know what I'm saying, who's wiggling out of the crosshairs and basically saving his ass from the fire is Irony, right? Irony, Osei Frumpong needs to do some academic work. That's about it. I need some definitions from him, academic level definitions from him. I think he's touting CRT, but I think he's intelligent enough to come up with his own contemporary framework for racism, and I would really encourage him to do so, right? I understand that, you know, he has family responsibilities. I understand that I think he's still doing his dissertation for his PhD. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought he is. He's the only one wriggling out of that situation. And even him, he's trying to talk a little bit too much about liberalism, even though he seems to be consciously aware of the bigotry and racism within liberalism. So he's the only one who's skating the fire. But I want to do one for Boyce. I want to do one for all these people. And so everybody can have a little comedy thing that they can really quick get an idea of who this person is, and a summation video for each one of these people, and be done with them. After this little is done, I am done with Tariq Nasheed, right? I never want to speak on him again. I never want to talk about him again. I just want the videos to be out there. If anybody wants to search for them, they can. I'm going to put them on other platforms so it'll be there as well. And I want to be done with him. That's it. He is a disgusting, filthy piece of shit in my opinion. That's exactly what the fuck he is. He's one of those bragging ass niggas who's talking about you. He's talking about your pain. Think about this. So, as you are calling into Tariq Nasheed or writing him something about something that's happened in your life, or as he's talking about somebody who's been beat up by the police or been, you know, this, that, and the third, you know, he's also thinking to himself, well, I'm not like you, nigga. I'm not like you, nigga. I got a $2 million house, nigga. I got Corinthian leather. I got marble around me, nigga. You going to bed wondering how you gonna pay your bills, nigga. You paying my bills when I go to bed. You buying my films, ain't you? I get you niggas riled up. You buy my my stuff. You know, you send in your money from your broke ass life, and I collect it, and I'm able to live a great life by my goddamn with me and my family. Yeah, I'm talking about you hood rat hoes, but I'm still married to my bitch. That's the type of shit that he's talking about, right? You can't even make the same comparison with Professor Black Truth and Black Authority, because you don't know who the fuck those niggas are. If they actually are even niggas, they could be white folk with black sounding voices. These people live contradictory lives. They get us riled up about our lives. Say, hey, you're riled up enough? Go buy my shit. And then take that money and go live in a white community. Take that money. Okay. Okay. Unscripted time. Even though it's technically all unscripted. let's give you some information that maybe Mr. Tariq Nasheed, Mr. Black Empowerment, Tariq Nasheed. Yeah, we're gonna go through the whole goddamn video. Whichever one we select. Let me try to see if I can find a. Yeah, let's go here. Let's just go here. See if we can find an American talking. Let's do some more stuff that.
Hello and welcome to my first sit-down video since I travelled from London to Kannur. I have done like a few vlogs, which obviously
no offense, but I'm not looking for Black American. But I know there's not really that many Black Americans traveling to Turkey.
Hello guys and welcome to my channel. So if you're new here, my name is Deacon and I am a vlogger living in Istanbul. So I have gotten a couple of questions from you guys that are interested in probably visiting.
No, I'm not gonna go there. There we go. Let's go here.
Right guys, right now I just got to Taksim Square and this is
a lot of British people there, not a lot of Black Americans there.
Turkish kebab. I'm definitely going to try it. I am going to do a separate vlog.
Let's go back a little bit. Long form content, people. Can't try to keep your attention. Gotta go where it may. Go where my thoughts may. So it doesn't really seem like we have Black Americans. Black American. Let's just search for it. Black American. Oh, even better. I think this is better. Afro Turks.
On his way to work, Yalcin Yannick stops by to check on the Syrian refugee families in
this 4 minutes, this is more than Tariq Nasheed is doing. The supposed black historian is doing while he's in Turkey.
The neighborhood, and ask them how they're doing and if they need anything. They call him Yalcin Abi, Brother Yalcin. Yannick is Turkish, but in his hometown, Izmir, he's often himself taken for a refugee. Specifically, he's an Afro-Turk, a descendant of African slaves brought here in the mid-19th century by the Ottoman Empire.
See, this is my root jurisdiction theory of racism, right? So at the end of the day, when you're talking about, you have to realize that when people are talking about nationalities like Mexican, Turkish, or Dominican, Cuban, or whatever, those are nationalities. Those are not races. Within non-homogeneous societies, there's always racism. And within homogeneous societies, or seemingly homogeneous societies like Japan and China, any sort of other racial groups are automatically filed in lower racial castes, right? So you always have to qualify somebody's nationality with their race, right? You can't just say a Turk, they're a white Turk. You can't just say a Turk, they may be a black Turk, right? So you have to keep that in mind.
On the streets and even in his own leather workshop, he's been called black in a derogatory manner, or Arap, Turkish for Arab.
These remarks even come from my own acquaintances. Although they're meant as jokes, a year might go by without any remarks like that at all. And then I might hear them 10 times in 1 week.
But Turks of African origin, like Yalcin Yannick, are growing more confident. Once a year, they celebrate a festival in Izmir with people coming all the way from the Americas and Africa. Izmir's mayor also came to underscore his liberal image. But many passers-by are still surprised that Afro-Turks exist.
Really? These people here? I wasn't aware of them.
Very few of the Afro-Turks themselves know their roots. Forced assimilation has consigned their history and culture to oblivion. Now their descendants want to change that. Some years ago, they founded.
See, what that is really going on, and you can sort of tell with some of the
Turks
instruments
themselves
even
know
being
their
used.
roots. Forced assimilation.
See, it's not forced assimilation. What it is it's the Latinoization of Afro-Turks. So what's going on is basically in Latino is a pseudo-cultural identifier. It is not a racial identifier. You still need a racial qualifier in front of Latino. You don't need it in front of Hispanic because Hispanic is actually a term that's actually supposed to be referring to the native people within those regions. So the indigenous people within Mexico or Brazil or Argentina or Bolivia. Hispanics is supposed to be talking about those individuals, which is again still a pseudo-cultural identifier that is misappropriated to white Latinos, right? So you still need a racial qualifier in front of Latino. There's white Latinos and black Latinos, right? So what they're doing is, again, it's the Latinoization of their culture. So what Latin culture allowed for is it allowed for those white Latinos to be able to travel to America and still be considered brown just simply because they speak Spanish. That's what Latinoization has done. Just because they adopt a culture that is heavily influenced by African slaves does not mean that those individuals are brown. Those individuals are not racially brown in any way, shape, fashion, or form, other than the skin tone bestowed to them by their position to the equator. They are still white Latinos. By having sort of in the Americas, so to speak, a global culture that's consistently influenced by descendants of slaves within those Latin cultures and societies and influence them in similar ways, you have like a pseudo culture of Latin America being considered in Latino or being derived or contained in the word Latino, right? But that doesn't necessarily carry over because a Latino or with Latin culture in the Dominican Republic is not the same as a Latino with Latin culture in Cuba, which is not the same as a Latino with Latin culture in Mexico or Guatemala or Colombia or Argentina, right? They don't actually share any real culture, but it's a pseudo-cultural identifier using the word Latino. So they basically have done the same thing or trying to do the same thing here, where they're so identifying with Turkish culture that they don't really recognize their own. That's what the fuck is going on.
Here? I wasn't aware of them.
Very few of the Afro-Turks themselves know their roots. Forced assimilation has consigned their history and culture to oblivion. Now their descendants want to change that. Some years ago, they founded an association for the purpose.
Up to now, we haven't been able to say who we are exactly. Of course, we're Turks. We're born here. But there's more to it. Something was always missing.
In a disadvantaged suburb of Izmir, the Yannick family sits down to breakfast. Like most Afro-Turks, they are of modest means. They have little time to delve into their past. Yalcin believes his ancestors came from Tanzania, but that's about all he knows.
Even if you do want to research it, hardly any documents from that time can be found.
Sound familiar?
Yalcin's children haven't learned anything about the history of the African slaves in school either. It's not even mentioned. But they've had their experiences with day-to-day racism.
I really don't like to be in crowds. I feel uncomfortable and frightened. When I was a kid, it was worse. I would try to hide under a chair.
The annual Afro-Turk Festival.
It seems like the old global goal of white supremacy of installing a racism-induced generalized anxiety disorder, as well as engaging in living genocide by erasing one's history, even though you keep the body alive to work, is still alive and well, even in white countries like Turkey. Those types of systems are still in place in those types of colonized outliers of white supremacy, right? Same tactics, right?
Concludes with a big picnic. The Yannicks try to get together with other Afro-Turks more often these days. The food here is Turkish. The music too. But recently, grass skirts and brightly colored shirts have become popular.
Tokenization will not supplant or not grant you any real forms of culture. It will just simply be something that white Turks, as you already saw from the previous clip in the video, use in order to appropriate that culture and more. Even though you're trying to use it as an outshoot to learn your own history, they'll just use it as a part of their own Turkish culture and pantomime it, almost like the black faces in Sweden type thing, right? That type of shit won't last. You actually need to have your own culture, not just do pantomimes with grass skirts and sort of these stereotypes. That's not going to work.
Nobody here can afford an actual trip to Africa, so they're happy to see more and more Africans visiting Turkey.
Whenever we meet people from Nigeria or Sudan here in Turkey, we invite them over and have them tell us all about their home countries and cultures.
That's very important.
Of course, we'd like to travel to Africa ourselves. And maybe someday this dream will come true.
But Yalcin Yannick wants to bring about change here in Turkey. In 2018, he ran for parliament as a candidate for a left-wing party. But he didn't collect enough votes to become the first Afro-Turkish representative in the Grand National Assembly.
We're already more visible in many areas of society. Now it's time for us to go into politics. Time for a black president or minister, or just a black village elder.
Yalcin Yannick thinks the time is ripe. Some 160 years after slavery was abolished, Afro-Turks are demanding their place in Turkish society.
Wait, 160 years? That puts it at what, 1840? No, not 1840. That puts it at 1860. So around about the same time, I think, right? My math, it has to be wrong. So 20, 100, 120, 40. So yeah, 1860. So around about the same time as the Civil War, I guess. Let's do some more shit that's that our historian is not doing. Our community leader or whatever he is, your community servant, yeah. Our community servant is not doing. Maldives. Let's see. Hold on. So my space bar is not working properly. Let's actually do it outside of what you call it. Try to always use DuckDuckGo or some other search form. Don't just always use. There we go. it's almost like racism is a global thing, and you would think that a person who is peddling his wares in the downtrodden state of Black Americans' racism would take it upon himself to highlight some of the racism that's going on in the areas where he's vacationing. But apparently he's taking a vacation from any responsibilities to Black empowerment. Let me scan this. This is more about xenophobia. Hold on one second. It looks like they have their own form of racism going on. Their own racial caste system going on. Okay, Humale is a man-made island near the capital Mali. The government built this island with a plan to provide adequate housing for the descendants of Mali, not the residents. This is where racism begins to take shape. Racism is not only when it is between blacks and whites. A clear majority of 75% of the residents from Mali are paying extremely high rent for the 25% landlords. The government seems to recognize the needs of these 25% of landlords, but not the rent-paying 75% islanders. So far, there has not been any single project carried out by the government to relieve the distress of 75,000 people living just to earn and pay the whole sum to the landlord. After almost 10 years since people inhabited the island of Humale, the house rents are only going up. Many of the Mali landlords have rented out the whole house and moved out of the country, such as Sri Lanka, India, Malaysia, and Singapore. Government housing schemes only work for those landlords to update their life with more properties belonging to different families of one family. They could rent out all the houses and live a luxury life abroad, whole family together. So again, it seems like this is supportive of the root jurisdiction theory of racism, which is, again, in your root jurisdiction. If you're white, you're white. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have a certain skin color, but if you have a certain root jurisdiction, so that means that if one of these rich motherfuckers who are basically being a rentier of all these properties in the Maldives were to come to the U.S., they would be technically considered white. If they're white in their home caste system, they're white when they come here. Did Tariq Nasheed go into any of this? Did he take you to this island? Did he have any interviews with these people? Did he? No, he just went to a fucking island, chilled with his family, chilled and stunted on you niggas. And oh yeah, he got cursed out by that one dude and exposed by that one dude. Shouts out to him. But for the most part, he didn't do shit. And then this one is going to be so easy. This is going to be just downright easy as hell. Again, long form content, man. This is not so funny how that's the first thing that comes up. Black people talking about how it's racism. Oh, okay. Oh, well, there we go. We got an LGBTQ trying to jump into the fray, but we ain't trying to hear from you. Let's go. Should I? It looks like they may be foreign born, but let's see.
Welcome back to Melanin Talks.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Ashley. And yeah, before we start this video, thank you so much for watching our videos and liking it. Like, y'all are the best. But we also want subscribers as well. So please take 2 seconds
down there
to subscribe. Do it. Click that button.
Just get to the point. Y'all being annoying at this point. Get to the point.
American racism. You can put that in
there's like European racism, but here in Dubai, like when we went, we didn't necessarily there was any racism, but like there was some blatant racism.
No one's calling us the N-word or like pushing us around and being like, get out of here, you black,
right.
Like that.
Yeah, but I will say I think we experienced racism in the form of sexism when we went to the Gold.
Oh Lord, no. Oh no. Racism and sexism, don't try to conflate the two. Don't try to conflate the two. Oof. It's horrible. Let's go to this individual to wash our eyes out with soap.
Now, I am a black person, obviously. I am African. I'm a black South African. My name is Julaza, and I am finally doing this video. So I have been meaning to do this video for quite a while now, but procrastination is a force to be reckoned with. So on today's video, I will be talking about racism in the UAE as well as in Qatar. So I lived in the UAE for about 2 years, and then I moved to Qatar for about 6 months before I came back to South Africa. So, you know, my experience is going to be based on the time that I lived in both of these countries. So I will begin with the UAE because that's where I spent most of my time in the Middle East. When I first got to the UAE, I lived in Ajman, and then I moved to Sharjah, and then finally I moved to Dubai, which is where I stayed the longest. So in the UAE, I lived in 3 different states. And you know how racism works in both the UAE and in Qatar is actually quite interesting. It's definitely not the type of racism where if you as a black person jump into the swimming pool, then everybody else automatically gets out. Or, you know, the type of racism where nobody wants to...
I gotta pause. How the fuck does he know about this type of racism? What kind of racism is he experiencing in South Africa where he has to use that as a type of racism? What the fuck? Hold up. Damn. Now I see why farmers are getting whipped in South Africa.
Sit next to you in a bus or in a train, you know, even though that happens as well, but it's definitely not that type of racism that's common in both the UAE and in Qatar. The type of racism that you are most likely to experience, okay, is more of economic racism, all right? And I will explain exactly what I mean by that in just a second. So when I was living in Dubai, I experienced racism, but I also did not experience racism. So what I mean by that is I was discriminated against based on the fact that I was African, all right? So the type of job and the type of salary that I had, the compensation or the wages that I got was, you know, dependent on the fact that, or was based on the fact that I was African as opposed to what I brought to the table. Now, it is common practice to pay Africans and Asians.
Wow. He's on code with that. The biggest form of racism that everybody experiences on a day-to-day basis is not in the police office or not with police officers. It's not with Karens at Victoria's Secret. It's on your job. And, you know, he may be South African, but he's spitting some truth to me. Would have been funny if Tariq would have done this and then integrated into his travels. He also, like, spoke to black people abroad about their experiences with racism in those countries. It would almost be like he's proving himself to be a black historian asking for a history museum. But we all know that that's not the case, that he's just asking for a vanity project and asking us to fund it. But damn, again, back to this individual. He may not be from America, but he's spitting truth. And the fact that he's spitting that type of truth, again, tells you what white supremacy is. White supremacy is McDonald's. It's Burger King. It's Dairy Queen. It's a franchise outfit. And though it may have different flavors in your particular neck of the woods, it still ran the exact same way around the world. It may have different flavors of white supremacy, different things on the menu, but typically it's all run the exact same way. It's a franchise. So he's telling us about the franchise of white supremacy in the Dubai.
Less than, Americans, Europeans, Australians, Western people basically. Now, even though Australia is in the southern hemisphere, all right, but it is pretty much a Western country.